What's good, everybody? What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the 401 Talk Zone radio show on YouTube. I am your host, Leon Jones. You can catch me every Saturday from 12 to 2 on Blog Talk Radio. Call-in number is 215-383-5785. You have a topic that you would like for me to talk about? You can email me at lej6521@gmail.com. Topic. Make this a short video. It's called Relationship Ranking. Where do you rank in your relationship? Now, this is crucial, particularly when you're meeting somebody. Because as I stated before, a number of us are meeting on the internet. And when you read a profile, and I'm just going to tell you from a man's point of view, because as a guy, I date women. And some of the women's profiles will give you where you are in a relationship. Let me give you an example. If I read a woman's profile that says she's seeking Prince Charming or seeking a man that wants to be her soulmate, but in the text it says, God first, my family, then my man. Well, she's already telling me I'm going to rank at the bottom. So therefore, I'm not going to deal with that individual. And the reason why I'm telling you that is because, as I said in previous videos regarding relationships, my time is precious. So if I'm going to rank at the bottom, that means this person that most of their time is going somewhere else. And I get the last of it, if there's any at all. Let me give you another example. If I see something in a profile that says, I'm looking for a man that's going to love me, accept me for who I am, and make me number one, but I'm always on the go, and I like to go to church, plays, dining out, traveling, and shopping. That's another example of where I'm not going to respond to that profile, because this person told me she's looking for me to put her number one, but the 5 characteristics or interests that she gave me that she does and she's never home, that's not putting me number one. See, a lot of times when you talk with somebody, particularly about dating and subjects, many guys don't understand the criteria, because guys, for the most part, and I hate to say this, but it's true, don't know how to look for women. Because we're caught up in the superficial part of a woman and what she looks like. And what happens, we're blinded by her beauty. And the first thing we're going to do as a guy is dismiss everything about her that we believe that are going to be red flags. If I'm going to be ranked last in this person's life, I'm going to be miserable. Because this person is going to want me when she wants me, for the most part. After she finishes taking care of what she's doing. Here's a second thing I want to tell you all, particularly with this modern woman. This modern woman, when you tell her you want to be first, she's going to try to shame you by calling you insecure, She's going to tell you you're not being the man. She's going to throw all kinds of negative connotations at you to confuse you. I look at it this way. A relationship is money, energy, emotions, and time. And if your goal is to be number one in a man's life, you need to arrange yourself to allow him to be number one in your life. See, a number of times when men go out, they don't ask enough questions to a woman. But when you cut to the real truth, her intent is not a relationship. Now, I'm not saying it's all women, but I'm saying it's enough women out there to help you figure this out. A number of women are really looking for a dating companion. That's what they're looking for. Somebody to take them out to dinner. They're not really looking for romance. But guys, we get so blinded in the superficialness of her outer beauty that we don't see it. And I'm trying to make you all aware. That's why I do a number of videos. So when you pick a woman, you're actually not wasting your time and she's not wasting your time. Okay? Dating is a very simple concept. Ranking is a very simple concept. Now, ranking is an individual issue. If you're at an age to where your kids are grown and gone, but you still have your kids living at home, and you're still confining and trying to take care of your grandkids, I'm not saying you don't have time to date as a modern lady, because there are a number of grown kids living at home. And there are a number of grown kids who are having children out of wedlock, and they're allowed to stay home because mommy doesn't teach children any responsibility, and daddy's not home to participate in teaching the children any responsibility. And what you have is a concept of, well, we used to call it family orientation, but it's called family codependency. Well, if you're looking for somebody to actually have any type of intimate relations with, your house needs to be clean. And as a man, when we see that, it becomes theatrical and dramatic, and it's costly. And what I mean costly, it's costly to our, again, money, energy, emotions, and time. That's called meeting somebody. And you get a number of modern day women that will say that in their profile. My family is first. My grown children and my man's last. But yet they're looking for us as men to put them first. And then you have a number of modern day women that want us to accept all their obsessions. And that includes their dogs, their going out. And as a man, you have to know your value / your worth. Because if you know what you're looking for in a relationship, your mindset should be way above the sexual part. Because usually when you get into the arena of having sex, that relationship is going to be temporarily, because at the end of the day, you still have to deal with this individual. Have to have something in common. And relationship ranking, if both of you see each other as being number one, and you are compatible on most interests, you're going to have less conflict. But the reason why we have a lot of this shindiggity going on is because you have a lot of men and women too occupied in what's going on in their individual lives, and they want to keep that going on instead of making sacrifices for the relationship. Men and women today don't understand what commitment is. You have a term today called married but single. Well, you're married, but you want to live a single life. And if you don't understand your relationship ranking before you get involved with a person, you're going to end up living together or married, and this person still wants to go out partying. And that's also a maturity level. A healthy relationship requires two mature people who are equally yoked. You must come to the table with an idea that you want to grow together. When you get into your 50s, a man and a woman should know what they want. They've already been through all the BS, and for the most part, your kids should be grown and gone. If a man or a woman still has the grown kids in the house and they're still trying to be friends with their kids, because that also puts a relationship in the wrong frame of mind too. Because as a man, when I see that you are constantly being friends with your kids and your kids are relating to you as one of their girlfriends and you're not checking that behavior, that's telling me that your kids are going to try to come at me with that same type of attitude. You get a lot of individual kids who are very disrespectful. Now, I know there's many videos that have been done about single mothers, but that's when the kids are living at home, when they're minors. But it's even worse when the kids get older. And the reason why I'm putting this scenario on the women when it comes to relationships, because the women haven't cut the cord yet either. And a number of them, the reason why the man is last is because the minute they had before, they probably treated him like dirt, and are living through their kids and their grandkids as a security blanket, so it keeps them from having a man. That's one scenario. Number two, she might not want a man. See, when you deal with most of this online dating, there's a lot of text that's written. And text can be professional perception. Notice what I said, professional perception. In other words, it could be written on a professional level, but in a perception sense. You're given an idea of what this person has written, but when you look at the actions, and I always say, follow what a person does. Don't follow what they tell you. There's only one person that could tell you before they do it, and he's the great Muhammad Ali. He will tell you he's going to win, and he'll go out and prove it. But for the most time, most of us can't do that. We're going to have to put the action out. And as a woman, you don't want to waste your time with a guy who is trying to be a father to his grown kids when his grown kids should be gone, and to his look, you're supposed to love your kids. Because I see this big issue when it comes to dating. And like I say with some of the women out here, they put in there, you must love dogs. Some of us don't like dogs. Some of us don't like cats. That's fine. And it goes back to my video I did yesterday. Stay in your lane. But in order to stay in your lane, you have to find out where you rank as well. Because In my house, I'm number one. And I'm sure as a woman in her house, she's number one. If you both don't come to the table ranking each other number one, it's not going to work. Because at the end, there's going to be somebody that's going to be miserable. Dating is only hard when we are maligning it with unnecessary BS. And it comes down to where you're putting your energy. If your energy is to your family, your grandkids, your grown kids, from my perspective, you don't need a relationship. It's going to be difficult because as a man, we don't want to waste our time with somebody whose investment is with these other persons. And I find that with a number of modern day women, they want to put their energy in other beings instead of putting it into a relationship. We already know you have a relationship with your parents, your family. And let me tell you this. The great Mark Rudolph said in one of his books, he said that as a man, a woman being a good mother, observe that. A good mother is not going to make you a good wife. Not a bad person, but it's going to be a bad partner. Because with what she has going on in her life, it's going to cause discomfort and aggravation. And that relationship is not going to last. And because of the situation that some of these mothers and some of these fathers put themselves in, because basically when it comes to online dating, it's a lot of single and divorced parents out here trying to get back out in the dating scene, but they're not ready. You know, if you're just getting out of a relationship, of course you're going to rank your children because you're comfortable around your children and your grandkids because you've already had it in your life. Meeting somebody that is not flesh and blood is very difficult if you're shy about it, but you still have to do some type of work and effort to meet somebody if that's important to you, and it has to be shown by action. I always tell every man and woman, you must look at yourself, what your position is in life. Are you first? And you have to love yourself first and know your own value first and assess yourself. A lot of us don't assess ourselves, but we need to assess who we are before we can seek somebody for a full-blown relationship. But to be number one, we have to feel number one and make ourselves number one. And then we have to let our partner know that we want to be number one. And it has nothing to do with being insecure. It's funny, before your kids came and your grandkids came, you made that man number one. The only difference now is you're trying to make a transition. Certainly it's hard. But if it's really difficult, why pursue something? Just pursue a friendship. But you have a number of individuals that are trying to juggle a bunch of qualities and they can't do it. And it becomes a dysfunctional relationship. So to all the men and even all the women out there, if you want to be number one, find somebody that's going to be number one in your life and who's going to make you number one. because that's an important quality. Ranking. You must go into the relationship. Now, when I say number one, I'm talking about physically. I talk about the spiritual being God. I'm talking about at the top of the food chain. Because if it starts off to where you're number one, it's much easier to begin with a relationship and what needs to be done to establish it to make it grow. If you're anything but number one, forget about it. You're wasting your time. I want to thank you for listening to this edition of the 401 Talk Zone radio show. I am your host, Leon Jones. Just remember to be blessed for what you have. Don't worry about what you don't have. The sun always rises in the east and sets in the west. Be good to each other. I am out.